Hey guys, welcome back. Really high-end optics are becoming pretty popular on most of our rifles. Most newer shooters and even some of the older guys are kind of getting away from iron sights, or they're not really getting away from them, but they're moving towards an optic as a primary and iron sights as backups. And I was actually at a gun store a couple days ago and heard I think he was about in his early 60s, maybe late 50s, Vietnam veteran, talking to one of the younger guys who worked there, and he said, at least it was his opinion, that the optics and the optics mounts were the most important part of the rifle. Of course, that's his opinion, and of course he's entitled to it. And I don't necessarily agree with that, but I think it is a really important part of the rifle, and it's definitely something you should take into consideration when you're mounting optics to your rifle, is what kind of mount. But at the same time, you really need to take into consideration what you're getting and what you're paying for. There's two really high-end companies out there for optical mounts, and that's LaRue, and I think it's American Defense is the other one, I believe. Let me take this camera off the tripod here. This is my LaRue mount. This is a single, one-point mount for a aim-point optic, and it's a real high-quality mount. It's real tough. Got a great finish on it. It's a quick detach mount. Let me flip around. You guys will see. As you can see there, quick detach swivel. It's a great mount, but it's also really expensive. I think it was right at $130 just for the optical mount. And I mean, it holds 0. If you put the red dot back in the exact same place, it'll hold the 0. But I don't know, to me it seems like you're paying a lot for the name on it, and I've used other mounts and they hold just as well in being kicked and tripped and smacked around. So but there are other mounts out there that are less expensive, that are junk, that won't hold the 0 and fall apart. On an earlier video I showed you guys this Burris optical mount, the Burris PERP, designed specifically for an AR-15. Currently right now it's actually mounted with this that's a new scope I got, this 30mm professional. It's got a specific name and I can't remember what it's called. It'll come up, I'll do a review on it later when I get some more shooting time with it. But anyway, you guys saw me mount it, and the mount works great. It has two nuts in the back to unscrew it, so it's not a quick detach, but there is a quick detach version of this. It's got a Picatinny rail at the top, so you can mount a small optic to it. And it worked out pretty good. The only thing I've noticed is I've swapped out the scope a couple times, and the screws aren't getting stripped, but you can tell that if I take it out and put it back in a couple more times, the tops of those screws are going to come out. But you're not meant to change optics every week. So it's $50. It's made in China, so it does what it's supposed to do. And if you're going to put one optic in it and pretty much stick with that, I think it works great. I did a whole review on it. This, however, is something I ran across at that same gun store I was talking about earlier. This is a Rock River optic mount. It's actually a little lighter than the Burris mount, and it actually about the same cost. This was about $50, $60, and this was in the gun store for about $50. So I'd imagine if you did some shopping on the internet, you'd probably find it cheaper. But it's just as good, if not actually better. Let me flip this around and so you guys better look at it. It's got these nice big thumb screws. You can screwdriver, or you can tighten it down with a wrench. The Burris one, let me show you. So you just got these nuts, and you really need a wrench for it. These you can tighten down with the thumbs, or use your thumb if it's hard enough. Screwdriver, get a wrench on there. It's surprisingly pretty thin. It's fairly lightweight, and these are both 30mm. The only thing I could say about this is 30mm. This is the appropriate size scope for it. This is that Leatherwood CMR you guys that I had showed you before in a previous review. This is as close as they can get. I lapped the scope rings to make sure it had a good seal, and this is close. And this is correct. I checked with Rock River. It's supposed to have little gaps in between it like that. I can't say I'm really a fan of that. I'm afraid something might get in there and scratch or strip the screws out. But it does hold, and that is the way it's supposed to be. I thought about maybe getting some washers and putting them in there. So, I don't know. Over time, I'll try it and see if that causes any problems. I can't imagine it would, but you never know. It's also got 4 larger screws going through it versus the 6 smaller Allen head screws that are in the Burris. So this is going to be, I think this will clamp down a little stronger, or, well, it'll be, I'm not really sure stronger is a better word, maybe just differently. But this one clamps down with the larger screws. I actually like this one better. It's less to tighten up, but the screws are significantly larger. Of course, you want a blue Loctite, both of them. Don't use a red or, God help you, purple Loctite on these. You'll never get them off. But you want to put a little blue Loctite on them when you tighten them down. But really the reason I was making this vid is these are both really good optical mounts for $50 to $100. And I mean, they're not as nice as the Rue mounts as far as maybe the lightness, but the quality seems to be just as good. So if you're looking for an optical mount, definitely check them out. One thing I can warn you not to use is these Leopold scope rings. These are Weaver quick detach ones, and first of all, they don't work on an AR-15. They'll fit on top of it, but the problem is if you got one with a brass deflector, the quick detach lever won't close properly unless you got a scope with a lot of eye relief and you can mount it ahead of it. And they're just really cheap. The same gun store, the young guy I was talking to was an ex-Army sniper, and originally I had bought these and was taking them back and basically told him, you know, I wanted something inexpensive to mount the Optic on, and he says, well, look, you know, these are junk. And he brought this out to me. He said it's the same price, it's much better. He thought I'd like it a lot better. So he knew what he was talking about. It's a great mount. So just keep that in mind, guys. When you're out shopping for optics, spend your money on an optic. Don't go cheap on your mount, but then again, you don't really have to go crazy. Just buy something decent. And if you got an AR or anything with a Picatinny rail, I think this Burris or this Rock River would serve you really well. So that's it, guys. I'll see you later.